You hear yourself saying yes when every cell in your body is screaming no. You find yourself refreshing your phone, not because you're bored, but because you're hunting for that little hit of validation from a like or a comment. You catch yourself shifting your opinions, your tastes, even your beliefs, all depending on who's in the room. You might tell yourself you're just being nice or agreeable or a good team player. But let's be honest and call it what it is, a trap. It's a prison, and the bars are made from other people's opinions. You've become a puppet, and your desperate need for approval is pulling every single string. But what if I told you there's a way of thinking, a philosophy forged in ancient empires and trusted by some of the greatest leaders in history, that could cut those strings for good? What if you could finally put down the mask and take back control of your own happiness? Stick with me, because we're about to dismantle this approval trap piece by piece and set you free. This desperate need for validation isn't some quirky personality trait. It's a deep-seated vulnerability that's secretly poisoning your life. And the weird thing is, this craving is totally natural. Or at least, it used to be. For our early ancestors, getting kicked out of the tribe was a death sentence. Social acceptance meant protection, resources, and a future. Our brains are still running that ancient survival software that screams, "Fit in, or you won't be safe." But in our modern world, that survival instinct has been hijacked. Social media has amplified it, turning your life into a performance to be judged by likes and shares. Validation has become a quantifiable drug. This often starts in childhood. If you didn't get consistent approval from parents or caregivers, you can grow into an adult who's constantly trying to fill that internal void with approval from the outside world. And this constant search for approval has devastating consequences. First, it demolishes your self-trust. When you outsource every decision to the court of public opinion, you forget how to listen to your own voice. Your intuition, your gut feeling, goes silent from neglect. Second, it forces you to compromise your integrity. You say things you don't mean and do things you don't respect, all for a fleeting scrap of acceptance. That gap between your actions and your values becomes a breeding ground for self-resentment. And finally, it leaves you emotionally unstable. Your self-worth gets tied to the whims of others, which you can't control. A single compliment sends you soaring, but one nasty comment, or even just being ignored, can send you spiraling. You're living on an emotional roller coaster that you can't even steer. But there is a way out. It's a philosophy built on the idea of unshakable inner strength and radical self-reliance. It's called Stoicism. The Stoics, from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius down to the former slave Epictetus, knew that the desire for external validation was just a form of self-imposed slavery. So, they created a powerful toolkit of mindsets designed to shift your source of self-worth from the chaotic world outside to the calm, controllable world within. This isn't about becoming cold or emotionless. It's about becoming free. It's about building a foundation of self-respect so solid that no amount of praise can overinflate it and no amount of criticism can crack it. So, let's break down the 6 Stoic mindsets that will help you cut those strings for good. Mindset 1. Master the dichotomy of control. The foundation of all Stoicism is this: some things are up to us, and some things are not. According to the Stoics, the only things we truly control are our own thoughts, our judgments, and our actions. That's the entire list. And what's on the other side? Literally everything else. The weather, the economy, and most importantly for us, what other people think of you. Seeking approval is basically trying to control something that is, by its very nature, uncontrollable. You could be the kindest, smartest, most generous person on earth, and someone will still find a reason not to like you. The Stoic doesn't waste a single drop of energy on this pointless struggle. Instead, they draw a hard line in the sand. They pour 100% of their effort into their own character and their own actions. Is what I'm doing just? Is my thinking clear? Am I being the person I claim to be? That's the only game that matters. Letting go of others' opinions isn't weakness. It's the ultimate act of focus. Mindset 2. Build your inner scorecard. Whether you realize it or not, you're living your life based on a scorecard. For the approval seeker, it's an external one. Did they like my post? Was my boss impressed? Do people think I'm cool? The score is always handed down by someone else, which leaves you powerless. The Stoic, on the other hand, lives by an inner scorecard. As the philosopher Epictetus said, if you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your integrity. If you need a witness, be your own. Your inner scorecard is graded on one thing. Are you living by your own values? Did I act with courage today? Did I treat people with respect? Was I honest? At the end of the day, you are the only judge that matters. The applause of 1,000,000 people is meaningless if you know you betrayed your principles to get it. And their criticism is just as meaningless if you know, in your heart, that you acted with integrity. This means getting crystal clear on what your values are, and then measuring yourself against them, and them alone. Mindset 3. Practice deliberate solitude. Let's face it, we are terrified of being alone with our thoughts. We use the noise of the world, podcasts, notifications, endless scrolling, to drown out the silence. But it's in that silence that you actually find yourself. The Stoics knew that self-reflection was a superpower. You can't learn to trust your own voice if you never give it a chance to speak. Practicing solitude isn't about being lonely. It's about building a relationship with yourself. Start small. 15 minutes a day, completely alone. No distractions. Go for a walk without your phone. Sit with a journal and ask yourself the big questions. What do I really want? What am I so afraid of? It will feel uncomfortable at first. The itch to find a distraction will be powerful. But if you stick with it, you'll start to get comfortable in your own head. You will prove to yourself that your own company is enough, and you'll learn to validate your own thoughts, making outside approval feel less and less important. Mindset 4. Observe opinions, don't absorb them. When someone criticizes you, it feels personal. When they praise you, it feels like a victory. A Stoic learns to see both for what they really are, just information from the outside world, nothing more. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to look at what people said about him objectively, without an immediate emotional reaction. The sting of an insult isn't in the words themselves, it's in your judgment that the words have harmed you. The high from a compliment doesn't come from the words, it's from your judgment that you needed those words to feel worthy. The Stoic practice is to pause before you react. When you hear criticism, just observe it, acknowledge it, and then let it float by. It's just an opinion, an external event you don't control. The same goes for praise. Accept it gracefully, but don't inhale it. Don't let it become the fuel your self-worth runs on. When you observe opinions instead of absorbing them, you take back your emotional stability. You become the calm center in the storm of social judgment. If this is resonating with you, and you're ready to start building your own inner scorecard, do me a favor and comment, "I am my own witness" down below. It's a powerful declaration to yourself and a signal to everyone here that you're taking back control. Mindset 5. Practice thankless virtue. One of the quickest ways to break an approval addiction is to deliberately do good things without any chance of getting credit. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this, saying we should be like a grapevine that produces grapes and asks for nothing more. A good person shouldn't need to announce their good deeds. They should just move on to the next one. So try it. Pay for the coffee for the person behind you in line, then drive away before they can thank you. Quietly mentor someone without posting about it. Help a neighbor with a chore anonymously. This practice literally rewires your brain's reward system. It separates the act of doing good from the prize of getting praised for it. You start to find a much deeper satisfaction in the action itself. The reward becomes the feeling of living in line with your values, of being a good person just for the sake of it. This builds a kind of profound self-respect that no one can give you and no one can take away. Mindset 6. Implement the 24-hour independence protocol. All right, theory is great, but practice is what builds character. So, here's a direct challenge for you. Let's call it the 24-hour independence protocol. For one full day, make every single decision, big or small, without asking for anyone else's input or validation. What should you wear? You decide. What's for lunch? Your call. How should you word that email? Trust your own judgment. Don't ask your partner for their take. Don't poll your friends in the group chat. Don't look for a consensus. This little experiment forces you to flex that self-reliance muscle. It will probably feel weird, maybe even a little scary. But at the end of the 24 hours, think about how it felt. You'll realize that you are far more capable of running your own life than you give yourself credit for. You survived. You made choices. You were the master of your own day. It's a small-scale test that proves a much larger point. You don't need a committee to approve your life. You are enough. Conclusion. The approval trap is subtle, but it's one of the most damaging forces in our lives. It promises you safety and belonging, but all it delivers is anxiety and a feeling of being a fraud. It asks you to trade your integrity for a like, your soul for a pat on the back. You don't have to make that trade. By embracing these Stoic mindsets, by focusing on what you control, building your inner scorecard, finding comfort in solitude, observing opinions, doing good for its own sake, and trusting your own judgment, you can cut those strings. You can stop being the puppet and start being the one in control. This isn't an overnight fix. It's a daily practice. It's a commitment to choose self-respect over social approval, over and over again. The path to freedom isn't about getting everyone to like you. It's about getting to the point where it doesn't matter so much if they do. It's about finding the courage to be your own witness and realizing you're the only witness you'll ever need. The real prize isn't their approval, it's your freedom.